It's Ellie Kemper. My God.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Oh, hello. I was like, all of a sudden our mics got so loud.
Exactly.
I feel like, God.
I hope they weren't on when we were backstage.
Uh-oh.
Oh, what? Hot mic incident.
Hot mic in the back, never a good thing.
Thank you.
First of all, Paul, congratulations on this book. It's so good. It's exactly what the world needs right now. We need some respite.
Booze.
I wanted booze,
Yeah.
always. And I wanted to start just by telling our friends that you and I first, just so we're all on the same page, first met on The Office.
Yes.
Because I was a latecomer to the show. You directed the episode right before my character, Aaron, in my debut, but we first met on The Office, and then we went on to make Bridesmaids together, and it's been fun ever since.
It's been so much fun. Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, I remember you, because I was co-exec producing The Office that season, and we were looking for this new character, and I remember we had all these audition tapes, and we saw yours, and was just like, oh my God, that's her.
Very
kind.
kind.
No, but
More
it's so
of this.
true.
Yes.
And I was there for your the very first thing you did was your talking head.
Yes!
And
it was very, yes.
Yeah, and everybody's back by the monitors like, how's she gonna do, how's she gonna do? And we're just like, oh my God, we're like celebrating and stuff.
Paul, I was so nervous, and you leading the way, but everyone on that set, so friendly, so calm. It was like a really, really warm welcome, thanks to you. But enough about The Office and the genesis of our relationship. So, first of all, I love this book. I think you all will either receive a copy or buy a copy. What I love about this book is it's so signature you, and what you really, I think, what comes across, besides like all the delicious recipes for cocktails, is that you place such value on taking a moment each day to take the time to reflect on the day and to celebrate the victories, however large or tiny. And I feel like, again, we could all use some of that. When I was reading this book, I thought, oh yes, that is important. I think what you're trying to sort of get across to all of us is that you have to celebrate properly. You have to take that moment, of relaxation and celebration.
Yeah.
And the question here, there is a question. When did it click for you that you really, really had this sort of passion for cocktails and cocktail culture?
Well, at the tender age of 5 years old.
Yes!
This sounds like it's going to be a really sad story, doesn't it?
That's why we're here.
No, I was 5 or 6, and my parents went to Las Vegas, took me to Las Vegas, because they were going to go see a Muhammad Ali fight at one of the big casinos.
Yeah.
And so, as a 5-year-old, they were like, okay, well, we're going to put him in the nursery, and then we're going to go to this fight. So weirdly, in Vegas at that time, the nursery was a glass door next to the casino. So literally, they parade you around the edge of the casino, and I'm just like looking at all this wonder, and then they open up this glass door and they put you with a bunch of dumb kids that you don't know. And they leave, but I had it in my head of like, oh, we're all going to go to the fight together.
Right.
And so I got put in this room, and I was literally at this glass door, pressed up against it, looking out onto the casino floor.
Yeah.
All of these people in tuxedos and gowns, and this was back like in the the late '60s when people were still wearing
Yes.
that.
Yep.
And they're drinking martinis, and they're drinking scotch and sodas, and they're smoking and all this. And I just like, God is my witness.
Yep.
That will be me. And that moment, I had this thing that I've never gotten over, which is I want to be a grown-up.
Oh, I love that. You have succeeded.
Well, thank you.
Yep. Very nice job.
Very immature grown-up, but still a grown-up nonetheless.
I am envious of that, to have that insight, or I guess that passion sparked in you at such an early age is a gift. Like you knew what you were after from a very early time.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, I grew up in the era of watching Bewitched, and Darren would come home and make a martini off of the cart, and you watch the Dean Martin roasts, and everybody's drinking. It just looked like so much fun.
Yep. And this is and I asked you about this backstage to make sure everything is fair game, because this is surprising because you were raised Christian Scientist, your parents never touched alcohol.
No.
right? So first of all, I love the tidbit that they were off to Vegas to watch a fight. Like
Exactly.
that's so.
That was okay. They can watch somebody beat the hell out of somebody else. That's all right.
That part's fine.
Mary Baker Eddy did not care about that.
But did you ever feel, and I don't know what their stance was, if it was like hardcore or judgmental, but did you ever feel like this is off limits for me? Or was it just like, oh no, we choose not to partake?
It was very verboten in the house, and like my dad would get mad when we would see people drinking on TV and stuff.
Right.
I remember he got really mad once because we had in a spelling book in junior high, they conjugated verbs, and one was drink, drank, drunk. And he was so upset. And I'm like, no, Dad, that's the past tense of drank. And he's like, no, it's not.
Wow.
And he called the school. He tried to get the book banned from the school.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, he was hardcore.
Verboten is right. Yes.
Although the hilarious thing about my father, he said, I only had a drink once in my whole life, and it was the day you were born. Because I guess I was a C-section and he didn't know it, so he went over to the bar across the street in Detroit from the hospital, and I guess he downed a scotch, which, there you go.
Had never drank before then? That was his first
Apparently
drink
not,
ever?
no.
Wow.
He was all upset because he was, I don't want to shit on my dad, because my dad was a great guy.
No, he's great, yes.
But he was in World War II, and he was stationed throughout France, and you go like, oh, the French, they drive around, they're drunk, and they drive their Jeeps into stuff. I was like, oh, that seems a little like overgeneralization,
Exactly.
but that was his takeaway is
Yep.
you drink and you go nuts and you crash your Jeep into stuff.
Well, can I ask when you had your first drink? Again, I don't want to get you in trouble, but were you underage? I mean, when did you have your first
Let me tell you, well, this chips into the tragic, but it's not, I swear. Well, it is kind
We're constantly doing
why
that.
not? It's
Yeah.
It's 92nd Street Walk, right?
I know. It's a real deal.
No, when I was in high school, as a sophomore, freshman year of high school, I was in drama club, and we had a teacher who was, she also the choir teacher.
Mm-hmm.
But then my sophomore year, we got this teacher, Miss Conrad, and she came in. She was this big brassy woman, but she was really like an artist and into really like method and all this stuff. So here we are, a bunch of doofballs, and me, I just want to be a comedy guy.
Right.
But she would really instill in us all about acting and all this stuff. And once we were doing like Dark of the Moon, and and there was some scene where they're burning a body or something's burning off. We were doing it, and she comes out like, "Stop!" And she reads this whole thing. I grew up on a farm, and we had to burn animals when they'd be culled, and you would smell the death coming out. We're all, oh my God, we're like 15 and 16 years old. But then we did the scene again, and it was very heavy, so apparently it worked.
Yeah.
But she she liked to drink. And
I love this
she would
wrinkle.
invite us over to drink at her apartment.
What?
Yes. So.
Wait a minute. So, oh my gosh.
Yes.
No, I didn't mean to unearth such, but I mean, that's it. That I don't see tragedy yet, but I am wondering how we might.
How could it not go wrong?
How could it not go wrong? How old was she? You were
She was
15,
probably like early 30s.
So can you imagine that? Well, I'm sure it does happen now, but so did your parents know where you were going?
Well, no, they just didn't suspect that I would do that,
Sure.
because how would I? Their wonderful son who would do
Right,
that.
right.
But we'd go and we would just get like hammered. And I remember a few times coming in and my parents watch TV like, hi, kind of trying not to walk into the wall.
Did they? But they didn't suspect a thing.
No, they didn't, weirdly. And we oh God, this is so terrible. We were in one act competition.
Yeah.
We did the bear, the Chekhov's The Bear. And I, of course, when you're a goofball, you become the character actor who plays old men.
Right.
And I played the old butler. And so we made it all the way to the state one act competition, which was in Lansing. Mm-hmm. And so we got in that day, and she goes like, let's go out. So we all go to the bar. Why they were serving us, I have no idea. We were clearly 15 and 16 years old.
Yeah.
And I had 11 Heinekens.
Oh my.
Yes, 11, as any teen who can't control himself.
Right. Yep.
Well, guess when our performance was? 9 o'clock that next morning.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so I woke up with a raging hangover. I mean, just awful.
Was that your first hangover?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
brutal.
so my character, what they did is they would put this white powder in my hair to make me look old and gray. Don't have to do it anymore. And so in the end of the bear, I don't know if it's like this couple and they're fighting, and then at one point the butler thinks he's going to kill her, so he comes running in with an axe and they're kissing because they become thing. And I go, and the big laugh line is, "Oh, God in heaven," or something. And always you just get a big laugh.
Yeah.
So we come out and I run out like, "Oh, God in heaven," and big laugh, and it keeps going. And it keeps going.
Oh, no.
And you go, even at that tender age, you go like, there's good laughs and there's bad laughs.
Yeah.
This is clearly a bad
Yep.
laugh. So I come off stage and I go, what happened? They go, well, when you went, oh my God, you sent a giant mushroom cloud of powder up.
Oh no!
Yeah, so we clearly did not win the state one act competition.
Right, and that is maybe your, I hate to say it, but your first experience of people laughing at you. Not
Yes,
with
laughing
you.
at me, but I was
Unbeknownst.
so hungover, and it was like,
Exactly.
so it was really bad.
Yeah.
It was really
well,
bad.
so I'm wondering, because obviously, okay, Paul, so we were talking again backstage, all this inside baseball talk, but I was talking with some other ladies and we felt that we needed to bring, not that I don't always like look very dressed up and pulled together, but sometimes I don't. We knew we were seeing you tonight and we felt we needed to up our own game. You are a very stylish, elegant, pulled together, smart dresser. Yeah. So I wanted to ask when did you begin to cultivate that look? When did that become important to you?
Very early. When I was a kid, I used to watch all the old movies with my mom, you know, Fred Astaire and Cary Grant and all that. So I loved that. And then I was a big Groucho Marx fan, and I was given a biography on Groucho. And when I was like 9 or whatever, read this, and it said, Groucho Marx never trusted a man who didn't dress well.
Oh, wow.
So of course, like, well, I have to do that.
Yeah.
And so, and my mother, I was an only child. I was totally little Lord Fauntleroy. And so anything I wanted to do was like, yes, let's do it. And so I want to play guitar, and I have a guitar. I want to tap dance. I'm in tap dance lessons. But when I said I wanted to dress up, she's like, get in the car. So we go cross Detroit to the Fancy Mall, which is called the Somerset Mall, where like Saks Fifth Avenue was.
Hello.
And I was 9 years old. I know exactly.
Yep.
Very classy. And I got this 3-piece Pierre Cardin suit. Yes.
Oh my God.
And I thought I was the greatest
Yes.
in this thing. But my father was so angry. And he's like, he's going to grow out of it in 3 months.
Right.
And I did. But oh, what a great 3 months they were.
Yes.
I wore it everywhere. I would go with my mom to the grocery store in this suit and tie. I looked like a ventriloquist dummy walking around. And I would walk down the aisles and like these, you know, women would just look and start laughing. And I was like, pearls before swine, how dare you? You know,
Right.
I just felt so like I'm so, you know, in the wrong element here.
Well,
Yeah.
because ever since I've known you, I mean, you have dressed and presented yourself in it's such a careful way. It shows that you pay such attention to your appearance in a good way, in a way that's like, well, I care about today, so I'm going to dress appropriately. And I envy it because I don't have that gift innately to style myself. And when you see you feel your back gets a little straighter. So it's a great, I'm glad you watched those movies and that your mom drove you to the department store to get that. You tell one of the many things I love about this book is that it's included in the book, you include so many personal anecdotes. One of many that I really love is when you were going to meet, I'm very curious about this, you were going to meet some friends at a nice, was it Santa Monica?
Yeah.
Restaurant, and you decided to just like, give, I don't know what you were giving the finger, but something.
I was in a weird phase, like right in my kind of early 20s. I was, living in LA. I'd just gotten through film school at USC. I didn't like USC because it was very, very Republican, very frat boyish. And so they were kind of all, wearing lots of, kind of yuppie,
Sure.
we'd call them at the time,
Yes.
close. So my rebellion was kind of like, well, I'm not going to be like them. So I kind of went into this weird sort of like Hawaiian shirt, shorts, Converse sneaker kind of thing. I don't know why, because I felt I was rebelling against LA, which at that time was very stylish, or, very fashionable or whatever you would call it. And so my friends invited me to this dinner at this really like fancy, like hot, trendy restaurant at the time. So I'm like, I'm not gonna be pretentious like those people. I'm gonna show up however I want. So I showed up looking like a total idiot. And I walk in like, I'm so proud, and walk across screw these people, sit down, and my friends are like, what are you doing? And I was just like, hey man, I don't care. And then I just look around, and I see all these lovely people dressed up, somebody's having a birthday, somebody's having an anniversary. I was like, what a dick I am, Like, what am I trying to prove with this? I just look like the biggest dope.
Well, yes, and I'm agreeing as though I did not know. You couldn't look like a dope, but that that was a dopish thing to do.
Yes.
But did it dawn on you in that moment? Like, did you feel that you,
Yeah, I felt it. But I mean, like in high school, I was in high school from 76 to 80, and that was the height of the disco era. So we were dressed up. I mean, I dressed up for high school, but it was all like, I don't know if any fellow 60-year-olds here, Angel's Flight pants, remember those?
Anyone?
Yeah, they were big bell bottom, like polyester bell bottoms you'd wear, and you have these, everything was polyester, first of all.
Yeah, yes.
And like this kind of faux silk shirt, and then a jacket with wide lapels, and you put the collar out. So basically Tom Ford kind of was inspired by that era, and so a lot of stuff like that. And so I would wear that all the time.
Yeah.
And it really wasn't until I kind of got to college that I started kind of dressing a little less that way because just disco kind of went out and you felt, but I hung on to it for a long time. When I was a stand-up comedian from 85 to 90, and anybody remember Willie wear suits? I'm really hitting some weird stuff. There was this designer, I forget his name, but it was Willie wear, so his name was clearly Willie. And they were those kind of loose, almost like David Byrne kind of suits. And this is when you used to roll up the sleeves.
Yes.
You remember that time? You would roll up our sleeves, and I would wear a bolo tie. And that was my outfit when I was a stand-up comedian, because it was very loose.
Right.
Yeah, but then as the 80s went on, and I was playing more clubs, I just looked like the weirdo who was kind of dressed too much. Then I started dressing down. I didn't like that. So it was always, it's a long way of saying, I think everybody needs to have a style. And it doesn't matter what that style is.
Yep.
It's just, you judge people by their appearance.
Yes.
Whether we want to admit it or not, you see somebody walking towards you, you don't know them, you look at how they're dressed. More than anything, you look at how they're dressed, really. Yeah. And so my feeling is like, a lot of people are like, they got to know me for who I am. I don't want to be judged. I get that. But do you really want the hurdle of going like, ooh, this guy, I don't know, this person looks scary or they look like a slob, to then go like, oh, I'm really going to invest the time to get to know how great they are.
Absolutely.
I just want to have a calling card so you go like, okay, maybe he's all right. Oh, I could be a psycho killer for all they know. But at least I'm I'm presenting the image I want to present.
I couldn't agree more. And I feel, I always had this conversation with my college roommate. I would say like if parents were coming to college and take us out to dinner, I would always ask her name's Jo, okay, Jo, does this look nice? And she would always say, we're going to, on the border, which was a Tex-Mex place, or whatever, like it doesn't matter. And I always objected to that because I felt like, no, I do think appearance is sort of a form of respect and respecting the people you're with. I'm absolutely guilty of what you call, and I know you like me anyway, but the tyranny of the casual.
Yes.
I think which only really took off, only gained, I guess, momentum during the pandemic. But I'm guilty of that because it's easy. But I don't like it about myself because you should put in effort.
No, but you're not part of the tyranny of the casual, which is it's a term I came up with after living in LA for so long. Because what happened was, I'll tell you a short story for the. Yes. When I was doing Freaks and Geeks and all that stuff.
Yay! Sorry, I love Freaks. That's when I first you didn't know I met you, but I met you through Freaks and Geeks.
Yeah.
I love that.
Thank you.
What I mean is I love the show.
Thank you.
Come on.
Thank you, Ellie. So at that time, for some reason, I was going to kind of dress like a person in high school. I didn't dress that way in high school, but I thought I'd just wear jeans and t-shirt, like a Oxford shirt over the top and grow my hair long. So I was doing that. And so when the show went down and I was being asked to kind of pitch other shows, I'd go to these meetings, and this was back when they were called the suits. The people in charge were the suits. That's what we called them. And so you go to this meeting, and they're all wearing suits and ties, and they put you on the lowest couch possible. So you're literally sitting on this couch with your knees up like...
So mean.
And dressed in jeans. You look... Yeah. And I immediately went I do not like this power dynamic. I don't like what's happening here.
Yeah.
Because you go oh, that's the artist. We're sort of judging them. We're, telling them what to do. Yeah. And so I made the decision after a few meetings, I was like, I'm going to dress like them. I used to wear suits all the time. I'm going to do it again. So I went to the mall, bought a bunch of cheap suits. I go to the first meeting, and somehow in the week between my last meeting and this meeting, Hollywood decided we can't be the suits anymore. Let's wear t-shirts and jeans and sneakers. So I come into my first meeting I've got this going on. They're all in t-shirts and
yep.
And this is where the tyranny of the casual comes in, because they didn't go oh gosh, we should have dressed up. They're oh, you don't know, do you? Oh, this poor guy put on his Sunday suit and he thinks he's got to dress up. and they treated me like I was an idiot. And it was just like, but I was like, you know what? I like this dynamic much better because I think I look better than you guys. And I never went back.
Yes, and you did. I mean, okay, so that's interesting that it is this kind of almost like a too cool for school, but like, oh, I can't be bothered to make myself look.
And it's a judgment of like, oh, you don't know the rules now. You're not supposed to care.
Right.
And that drives me crazy. You know what I hear more, and I mean, I've been, dressing like this for 20 plus years in the business. I still to this day will go to certain meetings and people go like, hey, you didn't get all dressed up just for me, did you? And that, to me, that's like, I just want to punch you because it's the most self-aggrandizing thing you could say to somebody. Because
oh my gosh, I know.
You're so important. I had to go and buy a suit and really dress up for you. Middle-aged man who looks like a teenager.
Exactly right. And it's on par with No Worries and what is it? It's No Worries and or Don't Worry About It. I can't think of the other one where you're like, I wasn't worried about it.
Oh, no, totally.
Do you know what I mean? It's so like, I don't want to burden you with this. And you're like, well, I wasn't worried about that in the first place. So that's my pet peeve. I'll talk about that separately. But okay, so I wanted, one thing I was thinking about also. So my husband, he's a comedy writer. He aspires essentially to dress like you, to have that sort of know-how. He has a collection of sport coats, sport jackets, blazers that he rarely puts on, but when he does, it's very important to him. And so he has this interest in formal wear, I guess. And so when he is watching a movie and he starts, to lose interest in the movie, he finds himself just gazing at the jackets. And so I wanted, does that ever happen to you with cocktails? Where if you lose interest in something and you're just kind of, do you ever become preoccupied or just as something to keep your interest looking at the drinks that they're having? Yeah,
well, I mean, I first of all, if anybody has a drink in a movie, I have to have a drink immediately. Like I'm like marketing, advertising. I am the core audience. The hamburger comes on the screen, I gotta have a hamburger.
I get it.
Very, very weak-minded. But I find myself really. I mean, that's why my wife Lori and I love watching old movies from the 30s and 40s.
Yes, yeah.
Because those supper club scenes, you watch like the Thin Man movies or any of those things. I mean, I would say I'm a man. I was born too late, but I'm glad I was because I'd be dead now if I was back then.
How did they drink so much at all times?
Oh my God, totally.
I know.
And that was when people used to stay out really late. I mean, we think we party now. They would be out till 3, 4, 5 in the morning every night. But although martinis, if I may get into my martini thing, martinis did not used to be gigantic. Martinis, when you watch old movies, they were like 1.5 ounces. They were small. So the 3 martini lunch, which all sounds like they were superheroes because they were drinking 10-ounce martinis. The 10-ounce martini is this recent thing that has polluted our country.
Oh my gosh, yes.
There's 10 ounces. A 10-ounce martini is a third of a bottle of gin or vodka, if you must.
Hates a vodka.
And it's just if you want to keep it cold, you got to pound it.
Right.
And if you pound a third of a bottle of gin, the evening's over.
Yeah, it's good night. Yeah.
And so so I honestly think the 1.5 ounce ones should come back, but a 4-ounce martini, that's a civilized martini. Yes. That's how it should be.
Yep.
And so I'm always on a tear of like, how do we bring that back? It's this thing of like, I'm getting less, but I should be getting more for my dollar, but it's like it's declining returns.
Well, just like supersizing everything. Again, maybe different conversation. But when you mentioned the movies from the 30s and 40s that you and Lori love to watch. So I feel like, and you talk about this in your book too, but like that kind of elegance, Fred Astaire, you mentioned the Thin Man movies. What do you think that kind of sort of elevated lifestyle, 2 questions. What do you think it did at the time for people watching those movies? And what does it do to us now watching them as classics? Yeah,
well, I mean, I think a lot of these movies were actually going on during Prohibition and stuff. So I think it gave like, oh, good, I can watch other people drink.
Vicariously,
But to me, it represents, and this is a big thing. That's why even the book's called, the Ultimate Guide to Grown Up Fun.
Yeah.
It's not, again, going back to being, in Vegas behind that glass. It's fun to be an adult, and I don't understand why so many guys my age, I'm 60 now, but anybody kind of over 30, or it's a lot, my guys of my generation, fellas, if you're here, which is we kind of grew up under more the patriarchy,
Yeah.
you know, and all the people that were mean to us were, you know, teachers or whatever in suits and ties, and we saw, you know, authority figures on TV in suits and ties. So there was this rebellion of like, I'm not going to do that, you know, I'm going to dress this other way. But it's never ended, you know. It would have been fine for like 10 years, and then now let's come back around. Right. But now, I mean, I've got a lot of comedy writer friends, and I love them dearly, but they dress like their children.
It's insane, and it's so, and I even, again, I don't have like that high a sense of style, but I am still able to perceive slobbishness. Yes. And it makes me crazy because it's like, whoa, I'm getting heated.
I tell you.
It didn't end, like you said. Okay, we understand the rebellion, but now let's dress our age.
Well, that's because who are you trying to fool?
Right.
Am I looking at my 50-year-old comedy writer friend and going like, who's that teenager who just walked in the room? I'm going like, that guy, what are you doing?
No, I know. Yep.
Look, if I was sitting here right now wearing that, I would look like a different person.
You would, and I almost think the conversation would be different because it does lend itself to, or it affects, I think, how you carry yourself, right?
Yeah. I think you need a structure. I mean, if I'm too comfortable, I just kind of ripen and rot, you know?
100%.
You know, so many directors have this thing of like, they just kind of pull on sweatpants, whatever. And look, there's many directors who are way better, most directors are way better than me. But I have this thing of just like, I need that structure. I need in the morning to have this routine of getting ready. I don't know what suit I'm going to wear. But also when I'm going to work, I'm working with amazing people like yourself. If I show up in sweatpants, you know, I would say the director is the captain of the ship, and if I get on a ship and the captain's wearing sweatpants, I'm going to get off the ship.
Yes, I agree. And every day in Bridesmaids, and I remember when we were shooting the Wilson Phillips the finale, and you had to walk across water or something, which you did effortlessly.
I'm very saintly, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. But maybe you had to put on galoshes.
No, I had on these waterproof, boots. But I had to wear jeans with it, and it's the only time I ever did wear jeans on a set.
That's what it was.
Yes.
On that day, and none of us took you seriously.
I know, exactly. I'm surprised. And that was the day, of course, that was the day that Paul Thomas Anderson was on set, too.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
That was the most high-pressure day of my career. Like, oh, great, the award-winning director's watching over my shoulder as I'm directing. No. He's married to Maya, and he's a wonderful guy.
But still stressful.
Very stressful.
You pulled it off. I do have to ask, well, first of all, I keep saying first of all, but two questions. Because I just want to know, do you ever have like a beer and a hot dog? Like, do you ever, if you're at a ball game, because I know you don't like drinking out of plastic
cups.
Yeah.
Would you? We'll get into that.
Yeah. That's it. Do you ever do that? Like, is there an occasion where it's like, this is the custom?
I'm not like a prude or anything. I want to have fun, you know. Now, dietetically, I have to stay away from that stuff.
Yes.
But no, I never want to be the person, you know, that's the biggest thing in this book is like, I'm not here to judge. I'm your drunk funkle, your fun drunk uncle. Yes. So I'm just here to kind of go, here's what I think. I mean, I'm being a little more judgy today, but that's between all of us. But, you know, I just think, again, it's just like, just think about what you're doing and consider it, you know, and consider what you're putting out there. But I just like grown-up fun, you know, and so I think it's just, you know, a way to kind of drive that home.
Yes. Okay, so talking about Freaks and Geeks and talking about your high school, because I feel like there's so many unexpected turns in the stories that you tell where I'm like, oh, I wouldn't have suspected Paul. Well, first of all, Separately, I'm very intrigued by this nursery that was set up in Las Vegas. I don't know if those existed. I don't think they, like, it was just...
I don't know if they still do that anymore, because literally people were smoking right outside of the door.
That's so
it was not hermetically sealed.
Exactly,
so I think we're all
I know they have them
in,
like, churches where it's like, oh, you have to go to the quiet rooms, but I didn't know they had them in casinos. They should bring them back if they took them away. But you tell a very funny story about running for class. There's a drink called El Presidente.
Yes.
And you tell a very funny story about running for class president. And can you tell that story, because I was charmed by it.
Oh, thank you. Well, yeah, it was 6th grade, and they were going to have this election, and I was like, I want to be president, and just was set. I'm going to be president no matter what. So I campaigned. I made these campaign promises. I'll help you do your homework, pizza parties every Friday.
Yeah.
I mean, completely fillable sort of promises.
Right.
And I won in a landslide.
Not surprising.
Well, hold on. So, exactly. So then I won. So I was like, okay, I won. So then in the weeks that followed, hey, where's the pizza party? I don't know, man. It's not up to me. Can you do my homework? No, I'm going to do your homework. So I just had the title. So our teacher goes, well, how does everybody think Paul's doing as class president? Boo, boo. She goes, well, there's a concept in government called impeachment. So I was impeached as my 6th grade president. And rightfully so.
I don't know. Again, inconsistent. I would not have thought of you as an impeached man, and yet here we are.
I was the worst, exactly. I was the worst president of all time.
I love that you just lost interest in it. Was it because you had already won the prize?
Yeah.
Winning was the prize.
Oh, yeah. It was just the conquest of that title was,
Yes.
was all I really cared about.
Completely understand. But you got that, so you'll always be able to say that you were president.
I'm a disgraced president, exactly.
Yes, yeah, we'll leave disgrace out of it. I'm assuming your favorite drink of all time is the martini.
It is.
Okay.
It is.
And I'm just going to mention what's behind you.
Well, if anyone would mind, can I show you how to make the world's best martini?
Yes! From the master himself.
Thank you. I feel like I'm about to recite a poem. So the secret to a great martini is it's got to be super cold. It's got to be gin. Thank you.
Yes.
I don't want to be the divisive character, even though I've been doing it all night. Folks, a vodka martini is not a martini.
It's
I hate to tell you. Thank you. A gin martini, martinis are supposed to be gin. So when you go to a bar and you say, can I get a martini? And they say vodka or gin, that's on them. They got it wrong. But I'm not saying there's anything wrong with a vodka martini. It's just that you ask for a vodka martini, but it's not a real martini. So, I know, I'm sorry, I'm a jerk. Okay, first things first. When you make a martini, everything's got to be super, super cold. So your glass, I'm going to use a Nick and Nora glass tonight, actually.
Fair enough.
Exactly. Chill the glass. So you got to put ice in the glass to get it cold. Really, what you should do is put it in the freezer. If you can put your glass in a freezer and get it freezing cold, that's the way to do it. But otherwise, do that. And you should normally put water in there, and that'll make it colder faster, but get that cold. So now, you want to get you got to mix it. Now, there's 3 kinds of martinis in this world. The world's greatest martini. Anybody ever been to Duke's Bar in London? Anybody? There we go. Excellent. That's the world's greatest martini, because what they do, Alessandro Palazzi, who's I dedicate my book to him and my wife, Lori. Lori gets first billing.
Yay, yes, she does.
My bartender
Lori.
gets second.
She is. She's first.
And I've got a mea culpa for my wife. I'll say it right now, because I'm going to cut her off, because I know she's going to write a question about it. I put a lot of pictures of my wife and I in the book from our Instagram show. But then when we were putting the book together, the photo editor at the the publishers didn't like the quality of those photos. So they all got purged out except for one.
Yep.
That is a picture of my wife tasting this cocktail that she hated, called the Modern Cocktail, and it's her going like, ugh. So I thought, oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah, you probably.
Honey, are you happy with it? And it turned out to be the only picture of her in the book. And so I'm sorry, my dear. When the next book comes out, there'll be a much better picture.
I think it's charming. And
Thank you. Thank you, Ellie.
It captures it's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you, Ellie. That's why I love you. So the best martini in the world is a Duke's Martini, where they basically put into the freezer your gin. This is the gin that I make, called Ardingstall's Brilliant London Eye Gin. Thank you. But you put it in the freezer, and it's in the freezer for hours and hours. So it's ice cold. The glasses are in the freezer. What he does, he comes out, takes vermouth, puts a little bit of vermouth in the glass, swirls it around to coat the edges, and throws it on the carpet. Gets rid of the vermouth, and then pours in frozen gin, and then gets a big Amalfi lemon, cuts a giant twist, and puts it over the top. And that is a Duke's Martini. And they're fantastic, but they are the strongest things in the world, because you do not dilute the gin whatsoever. It is all straight gin, no ice, so it will knock you for a loop. And you're only allowed to have 2 there. If you have more than 2, I was there once, and two sober, very sober-looking businessmen are having a drinks conversation, and they're talking. And one guy gets up to go to the bathroom, and right over the table, and passed out. And all of a sudden, it runs over to the other guy, like, how many did you give me? He goes, 3, never 3, oh, no more than 2. So those are the strongest. Now, what I'm gonna do today is make one this is my personal favorite way to do a martini, because I think it's a little friendlier, and it's not gonna completely kill you. And that is to use the Alessandro method of making it very dry. So first you gotta put ice into your mixing glass. And I'm a big fan of mixing it. I'm not into the shaken martinis because a lot of bartenders think they're killing a rat inside of a shaker or something. I mean, they really pride themselves, and I love it. You know, in a lot of drinks, you do need to really shake it, you know, to get it frothy or whatever. But you're really, I don't have a shaker here, but the way you're supposed to shake a drink is like this. And you're basically, the goal is to let the liquid hit all 4 corners as you're doing it. So you're just rolling it, making it kind of cold. You know, a lot of people, they always say, well, James Bond likes it shaken, not stirred. And here's why I think that is. I'm just going to try to make an excuse for James Bond. He's a super spy, and he has to have his wits about him. So when you really shake the hell out of a martini, it waters it down, so then he's not as drunk as he could be with a regular martini. See?
I love that. Is that theory supported by anyone but you?
No, that is just my personal theory. Let me get Ian Fleming on the phone and ask him. So I like the mixing glass. I like to stir it, and it's a more beautiful way to do it. So first thing you want to do is get your vermouth, and you just want to put literally a drop in there, because I can't do the Alessandro thing of swirling it and pushing it out. Although you could actually, if you didn't put ice in here, you could put it in there and then dump it out. But I like this. So just literally a drop. There we go. Oh, God, it was too big. I'll just have to make a bigger one then. And then you take your vermouth, and I do like a 3 to 4 ounce one that this is. I think if you count 1, 2, 3, I find that it's usually you get 1 ounce per count. So let's make it 3.5 here. So we go 1, 2, 3, half. There we go. And then it's just, there's nothing better than stirring a drink. You know, and I like a good long spoon. You got to get a great long spoon. But you got to do this for a good minute to 2 minutes, because it's got to be ice cold. So you got your glass getting cold there. You got this getting cold here. And then what we're going to do is cut our twist. But do this, you know, again, because you'll get it nice and cold. It's even better even to put it down so your hand doesn't even warm up the glass, or the mixing glass. So we'll keep that going there. Talk amongst yourselves while we do that. And then, you know, so then you can let it sit there. You know, it's getting cold. Now cut your lemon. And who likes a dirty martini here? Dirty? Yeah. And I'm not judging that. I'm judging everything, aren't I? What a jerk.
You have opinions. You know yourself.
I find that for me, the olives and olive juice, it becomes the drink. And I love gin so much, and if you find the one that you love, I want to highlight that taste. And so that's why I think a twist is nice, because you express the oil over the top, which I'll show you how to do right now. And it just kind of opens it up and makes it, I like a bright martini. Other people might like a little heavier one, and that's what I think you get when you do a dirty martini or with an olive. So cut a big twist. There's no excuse for a small twist. You want to get a pretty good sized lemon and go pole to pole. There you go. So you've got a nice size there. And now the key to a twist is not to squeeze it from the pith side, but you're squeezing the oil out. See, that's nice and cloudy there and cold. You're going to squeeze. You want to get the oil from the twist onto the surface of, there we go, of the drink. So here we go. Pour that out. That's nice and ice cold now.
Whoa.
Yeah, see? And now here's the method you want to do. You want to hold it out, so this, you got the skin side out, and it's just over the top. And what happens is, whether you see it come out or not, you will see in the light, as I can see, you've got oil on top now. And then what you want to do is you want to rub the edge, get it all around there. So there's some places that they say you're supposed to do this. You're supposed to go down so that you get a little bit of lemon juice on or lemon oil on your fingers. I'm not a fan of that, but I just did it, so there you go. And you put it in, and there you go. That is what I consider to be the perfect martini.
That's beautiful, Paul. And the thing about it is that you took, what I love is that, again, you took the time to make it beautiful. And that's what people should do during these small moments in life. I keep making this about the world, but it's true. There's craftsmanship here.
Thank you. Well, you know, to me, drinking and cocktails is not just about the booze. Oh,
they warned me this would happen.
I thought that's something.
I know.
I'm being busted.
That's enough. You've had enough, sir.
Exactly. Been cut off already. You know, it's about the pageantry of it. You know, as we say in the back of the book, booze sipped from plastic is never fantastic. Nope. I would rather not drink than to be handed anything in a plastic cup. Yeah. Just because, what's the point? If you're just drinking to get drunk, fair enough. But why? Like when you can, it's not like you have to go to, you know, the Polo Bar or Bemelman's and spend a fortune. If you're gonna make a drink at home, invest a few dollars to get a nice glass, get the thing, and have the pageantry about it.
Yes.
You know, so it's not just, you know, don't drink out of red Solo cups.
Right.
I'm very anti-shots because shots are fun, but there's no reason, the only reason you're having a shot is to get drunk. There's no like, oh, that tastes so good that I slammed that down like that. Right. You know, it's like, let's get drunk fast. But I'm like, why do that when, like, this is a shot? I mean, I could knock this back like a shot, but why not, and I probably could, and have. But why not string out the drink, make the evening go longer, make it a social event? Because, you know, there's a lot of advice in here about throwing cocktail parties. Yes, which I Because I think, well, coming out of lockdown, you know, I mean, the Roaring '20s came out of the Spanish flu. And I think we're still in it, but we're slowly crawling out of it. And I think we're craving being together. Yes. And I miss, I was too young at the time to go through that era of the 50s and 60s, those cocktail parties you would see pictures of, like in New York apartments with people wearing tuxedos and gowns, sitting around on couches. Crammed in. And just having drinks and all that. And that's lovely. And you know, I want to try to bring back just that cocktail party ethic, because a cocktail party is not a party. Like a party is, you got loud music playing, everybody's having a raucous good time, you're dancing, you're having a lot of fun. And that's great, that's really fun. But a cocktail party is all about conversation. It's all about the fun of being an adult. We have a really good friend, Lori and I, in London called Kathy Lett. And she's an Australian novelist, really, really funny. But she excels in creating guest lists of people that she knows that are so diverse. I mean, you'll have a scientist and an architect and a poet and, you know, a doctor. And the fact that she invited them and vetted them, we don't come into the party going like, oh, who's this weirdo? Oh, is this, you go like, okay, these are all clearly, you know, people that she likes and that we like her and her taste. And you just have the greatest time meeting people that you don't normally meet and having great conversation. And you've got music playing nicely, softly in the background if you want. And if the party starts to flag, you can turn it up a little bit. Or you can do my friend Tanya Idle's trick. I have some in the back, I didn't bring them. Fake mustaches. If you want to get a party going, Tanya Idle will bring, if it starts to flag, she will bring out a box that has fake mustaches. And people put them on. I'm telling you, every party goes through the roof the minute people have fake mustaches on. I don't know why. I don't know what the superpower is of it, but people go crazy for it. So that's our gift to you from Tanya
Yes,
Idle.
I love that. You inspired me. I'm a homebody. I sort of stress out when it comes to entertaining. But reading through this book, you inspired me to make that effort, because it doesn't have to be elaborate. It can be in a New York City apartment, which tends to be a little smaller than a home, so long as you put some thought and effort into it. And I personally really appreciated that. And I would love if, you know, one silver lining of this pandemic is that there is a return to more pageantry and taking yourself seriously enough to, you know, dress for the occasion.
Well, just to have fun, have that grown-up fun. You know, I mean, when I'm making my movies, Lori is what we call our CEO, our Chief Entertainment Officer. And she's great at putting together, every weekend we'll put some kind of party together. And she'll always find, if we're anywhere near a body of water, she'll find some kind of barge or boat we can rent. And we go out and dance and play music and have drinks and all that. And it's really, really fun. And, I try to treat my sets like parties. I mean, we were working hard, but I wanted to be fun. But I wanted that to carry over into our time off so that we're just kind of, we're having as much fun as we can while we're doing hopefully our best work.
Right.
But, work hard, play hard is sort of a way to
And then
go.
there's a light at the end of the tunnel, too. You know that there's something.
Yeah.
Paul, I've asked many questions, and I don't want to hog the stage. I have been handed some of your questions on index cards that I'm going to read to you. So don't get mad. I didn't. Okay.
I'm furious.
There's 3 on this one. So I'll start with the first one. How much out of your comfort zone of spirits did you venture? I don't know if that means during quarantine.
For the book.
Yes.
I mean, that if I think I know what you're talking about.
Yes.
I mean, I'm a gin person, as we know.
Yes.
But no, I really wanted to mix it up. And this all came from that Instagram show I did, for 100 days in a row. And I like all kind of spirits, for what a surprise. But, I'm always trying to figure out what is going to make the best cocktail. Or when I find cocktails, I found a lot of recipes in the old Mr. Boston books, where they don't even make anymore. Print up. Those are amazing because what they are is this great guide to what booze can go together, and then you can then kind of build off of that. But it's fun to find what spirit is supported with what drink. Sometimes it doesn't work. There's a disastrous recipe in this book that I made. And my friend Bridget Everett, we know the great Bridget Everett. She, it was her birthday, and I always like to do, when somebody's birthday, we put a cocktail out for them. And so I said, what do you want? And she goes, well, I love tequila, but don't do a margarita. Find a tequila drink for me. So I'm going through the old Mr. Boston book and find this drink called a hot pants. And if you know Bridget's act, I was like, oh, this is perfect. I mean, it's a bawdy-sounding drink. Let's do it. I make this hot pants. This is the worst drink I've ever had in my life. But apparently it was really popular during the disco era. Oh. It was that and like the Harvey Wallbanger and a couple of others were a big thing. But it's oh my God. It is tequila, peppermint schnapps.
Oof.
Right there, you're in trouble. Sugar. And then I think lime juice.
Oh, no.
It is so awful. But then you go but it was popular during that. And all I can think is that everyone was so coked out of their minds back then that they needed something to cut through their brain. So, so I do experiment with other ones, but stay away from the hot pants. Although you might love it. You might love it.
Well, and this follow-up is, did you discover a spirit that you never thought you might try?
Yeah, cachaça. Which is like the Brazilian, it's a sugarcane-based spirit that on its own doesn't smell great. You kind of open it like, but you make those, here must know, that's it. Say it again. Caipirinha, yeah. And it's basically you get that and you get a bunch of limes and you muddle that together, and it's great. Here's the thing, when you're making cocktails, citrus in like lime juice or lemon juice in a cocktail is great because it can take a lot of spirits that are fighting each other and really unify them. It takes the edge off of them and just kind of brightens them up and makes them more friendly. So so that was one that I was surprised to find.
Excellent. This is a personal. Oh, okay. Oh, Paul. I didn't. These have been vetted. I just want to make sure I'm reading them correctly. There is a question. Okay. Paul, thank you for all of the fun and festivities with your Instagram live during the pandemic. Thank you.
My pleasure.
we've I don't want to embarrass
and to
you.
Tipsy Fant, my wife.
Yes,
exactly.
yes, this was hugely helpful, I know, to so many people, and of course you raised money for so many fantastic charities, so we all thank you for that. Now, what is your favorite food to pair with your favorite drink? From Margaret McSweeney, host of Kitchen Chat.
Oh, hey, wow, thank you for coming.
Oh, thank you.
My goodness, yay, hey, hello. I like to pair a martini with oysters.
Oh.
It's so fantastic.
Yep.
So.
There's the answer.
Can't go wrong. But I like Tabasco sauce on my oysters, so I throw that out there.
A twist. Do you have a favorite or memorable scene you've had to leave out of the final cut of one of your films? And if so, why was the scene cut?
In Bridesmaids,
Yeah.
we had a really funny scene with Paul Rudd, and I think it's on the DVD X or the Blu-ray or something, where she goes out on a couple of bad dates, and one is with Paul Rudd, who they're out at dinner. He's the perfect guy. He's so great and so lovely, and they're having the greatest time. And they decide to go ice skating, and they're skating. And ha ha, he falls down. Oh ha ha! And when he's on the ground, a kid skates over the tip of his finger. And cuts it, and he goes crazy. And he's like, I'm gonna kill that fucking kid. And he's like chasing him around up to the nurse's office, and he wants to kill this kid. And it was hilarious, but the only reason we cut it out, that and there's another scene where she goes to meet her date, and he's upstairs, and she's sitting with his kid, who's this hilarious kid we found, who's like, my grandmother died where you're sitting. Like, oh. And at one point, she goes to the bathroom. Oh no, she goes and hears the ex-husband, the guy's on the phone with his ex-wife, like groveling to bring him back. So she goes down to leave, and the kid's holding her birth control pills. She's like, did you eat one of these? And he goes, I ate Saturday. A joke written by the great Jen Salata, by the way. But the only reason we cut it out, the movie was too long, and also we were just like, I don't know, we kind of wanted to concentrate on her with John Hamm in this crappy relationship, so it felt like she was dating other people.
Too many crappy relationships.
Yeah, exactly. But I think they are on the Blu-ray.
Okay,
Watch them, they're hilarious.
Okay, good. So they live on.
They live on.
Okay, who are the 4 people you would want at your last party on Earth, family excluded? Cheers from Noreen.
Wow. Thanks, Noreen.
Yeah, Noreen.
Is this my monster's ball?
Yes.
Who did I kill?
Your last
Gosh,
party?
four people I'd want there.
No family.
No family.
Yes.
Well, Ellie, I want
Yeah.
you
Oh,
there.
well, you have to say that. Thank you. Thank you.
No, but it's true. I love Ellie.
Oh,
She's the greatest.
very kind of you.
No,
I'm there.
Okay, well, I guess my wife is considered my family, right?
She's your family.
Oh, okay, there you go.
We, of course, want her there, but
I know. Should I be like that heady guy always goes like, oh, Gandhi, you know?
Yes.
Just like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, that's hard.
If I could bring people back from the dead, I'd want Groucho Marx there, I'll tell you that much.
Yep, you can.
Tom Ford, I would like to have there because I find him very stylish.
Yep.
And then, oh gosh, who would
It's
be?
hard. It's only, you have one person left.
I know, exactly. Myrna Loy.
Yeah, that would be great. Okay,
Thank
you answered
Thank you for the great
correctly.
question.
Those are the right answers.
Exactly.
Phew!
Thanks for coming to the party, by the way.
I'm honored to be there. Okay, Stanley Tucci also made cocktails during the pandemic. Do you foresee a collaboration in the near future? From Jessica Zimmerman.
Thank you. I had, not to name drop, but Stanley is actually a really good friend of mine.
Yes.
And yeah, I know. And I've been at that house where he made that, at the bar where he made that drink. Yep. Yeah, no, he's fantastic. I mean, I have been cooked for by Stanley Tucci, which, yeah, died and gone to heaven. I mean,
You want him at your dinner party.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's
I'll
true.
bow out. You can have him.
But actually, I'm going to give a shout out to his wife, Fiona, who, Felicity, God, she's not here, but I still apologize, who makes the best gnocchi you've ever had in your life.
Oh
I mean, like little pillows of air, of beautiful air. Oh.
Yeah, I wish I had that talent.
But I love Stanley. We're always trying to figure out something to do together, so that will happen.
Well, maybe you'll collaborate on, well, I don't know.
He'll make the food, I'll make the drinks.
Yeah, exactly.
Bang,
done
there
and
you
done.
go. Mm-hmm.
Okay, now I'll say the names first. This is from Cameron. Oh, at what moment did you know Bridesmaids would become the At what moment did you know Bridesmaids would be the sensation it became?
Wow.
Was
Nicely
was there a single moment?
Well, I mean, I always say nobody thinks they're making a bad movie.
Right.
But at the same time, you also go like, I hope this doesn't bomb.
Right.
But honestly, it was really, I don't know if it was being a sensation, but I knew we got past the point of it might fall apart, or we might be unsuccessful, where it was opening night. Basically, what they do what's called tracking. And so they talk to audiences and kind of coming out of theaters and see, are people aware of the movie? And from there, they can basically kind of predict what the weekend's going to be. It's really terrible, and they're always right. So, it's so annoying. So I've been hearing for like 2 weeks before, like, if your movie doesn't make $20 million opening weekend, it's going to be considered not a success, a failure. Oof. So we're like, and the tracking was looking low. We didn't know what to do. And then the night before, they used to do midnight screenings. Like now they do like start at 8 o'clock and they go all night. But it was like one screening at midnight. And I was like, it's a wedding movie. Like, why are you doing this like it's a superhero movie? It's not going to do well. And so the next morning, get the call, didn't do very well at the midnight screening. We're predicting $13 million weekend. So I'm literally, more than you want to know, I was literally sitting on the toilet when I got this call. So you're just sitting there like, oh my God, you know. And I walked around all day just feeling terrible and, you know, and just going like, I failed. And I'd had 2 movies that had bombed before this, so it was kind of like, this was third strike. And I'd also been told by a lot of people, women writers that I know who were out pitching things, oh, we have to wait to see how Bridesmaids does before we can consider doing another female-led movie, which, okay, screw you, Hollywood, right? Yeah, right. But also that feeling of like, really? So I could possibly—
it's all on you.
Yeah, I could kill it for women for the rest of eternity. So walking around in a total funk, and so I called up Melissa McCarthy and her husband Ben, who live right by us, and said like, come on over for dinner. Let's just kind of have like, we'll just commiserate and have dinner. But as we're having dinner, I'm getting texts going like, well, actually, it's looking more like 15 million. Oh, actually, maybe 17 million, maybe 19. Then it finally got the one like, it's looking like 20. What? And then it went past that, and it's like 21, 24, and I'm like, get in the car, everybody. So Melissa and Ben and Lori and I get in the car, we drive to the ArcLight Cinema, come in, and the place is packed and rocking. And it was the greatest moment of my life, I gotta say.
Oh, that is so special. It is that thing where it was like, you don't know how people ever are going to respond.
No
and
idea.
It did resonate. And I got the feeling, oh, this might be, when one of my agents who never reached out to me because, like, hello, no time for me, sent me an email. I was like, good job on Bridesmaids. I was like, this is something. The big time agent reached out to me.
Exactly.
But what a feeling. To go and.
Oh, no, totally. Although it is my, like, we grew up, my wife and I live across from Warner Brothers in Burbank. And so for years, we've been there for a long time, would see like some movie go through the roof and there'd be a line of Mercedes in front and go like, oh, the studio gifted Mercedes to the cast and the makers of the film as a congratulation. So I'm like, so we had this big opening. I'm like, oh, where's my car?
Yes.
And a bottle of champagne showed up, and I was like, okay, but I thought I was going to get a car. And they're like, oh no, we don't do that anymore. It's like, oh great.
Oh no.
Like me, exactly.
That window of free. Oh my gosh, I didn't even know. That sounds like the stuff of like legend.
That was the thing. That was the
gifting. Okay.
The excess of Hollywood.
All right. Well.
No more. Bridesmaids 2. That's up to Kristen. But I'd be up for it. But sequels are hard. That's all I'm going to say. Sequels are hard.
Sequels are hard.
And I'm always afraid of stepping on honestly, every time I do a project, I feel like we got away with it. You know, so it's kind of like, oh, that worked. Okay, step away.
Right.
But you never know.
I do appreciate that you would not be held back. You had to ask that question. I appreciate the passion. Okay, now I love this episode, and I can say this because I got to watch it. I wasn't on the show yet. This is from Emily. One of my favorite, why don't I ask the question? How would the dinner party episode, which is in The Office, which my favorite part, you talk about this in your book, is when Dwight fills his red wine glass to the top, full inside wine, what's a wine, someone who knows about wine?
A wine glass.
No, someone who knows about wine.
Somebody, yes.
Clearly, I'm not on the, I was like a vino, yes, sommelier joke. Okay. How would the dinner party episode be different if it was filmed now in 2022? I don't know.
Oh, gosh, that's interesting.
Careful. I don't know.
I honestly don't know if it would be different, but I can tell you this. Because we were so excited about the dinner party episode. We were so happy with it. We really thought it was funny. When it aired, our fans hated it.
Is that right?
The Office message board lit up with people like, I hated this episode, how dare you, blah, blah. Because I think it's so, if you've seen it, it's so uncomfortable. Right. It's one of the cringiest things I've ever been involved with. And I did Freaks and Geeks, which I thought was super cringy. But I think it was just like, people were just assaulted by how cringy it was. But then once you've seen it once, and then you can go like, okay, now I know what's coming. Now I think it's become one of the most popular episodes ever.
That's so interesting at first that it.
Yeah. Well, we were so bummed out. We were like, oh, here it comes. People are going to be so happy. It's like, they hate it. What are they doing?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Well, don't touch a thing then.
There you
Do
go.
it the
But
exact
I don't know if it would be any different now because it's just supposed to be so uncomfortable and terrible. But it has one of my favorite lines ever when Jenna Fisher walks in with a bottle of wine and Melissa Hardin goes like, oh, that'll be great to cook with.
It's
the ultimate burn.
Yeah,
exactly.
ultimate. That's what's so interesting because I feel like the first season of The Office was much more cringy, the American version.
Yeah.
And then they sort of.
Well, that was what happened with the first. They did with The Office. The first season was only 6 episodes, and it was very much. If you watch them, it's crazy. Steve Carell was basically playing, Ricky Gervais.
Right, yeah, right.
And American audiences were just like, we can't take it. American audiences, and that's why I love American audiences, they like to have at least, they can't root for a bad guy, basically.
Right.
And so it was really after those first 6, and I came on at the beginning of the second season, which was the first full season, 40-Year-Old Virgin had just come out and was a big hit. And so we were all going like, well, what's different? It's like, oh, well, actually, he's kind of lovable. And so it became like, he can still be a bore, but he has to be a well-meaning bore.
Right.
And then the show kind of turned around.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And because I, as a viewer, noticed, of course, I'm not a dummy, noticed that turn. And he does become much more lovable.
Even if you look at those first 6, his hair's slicked back.
Oh,
and
his
he looks
hair is
kinda,
like it's upsetting. Yeah. We love Steve Carell, but that hair was not. Okay. This is from Becca.
Oh, wait a minute.
This is my character's name in Bridesmaids.
There you go.
And this is way too much information, but I still have a pair of underwear from Bridesmaids. It's costume underwear, that has Becca written on it. I don't wear it. Should I frame it? What should I do with it? It's like a pair of, I don't know.
You gotta frame that.
I gotta frame that. Don't worry, they're clean, but it says Becca.
I think the Hard Rock Cafe, somewhere can we'll hang that with honor.
The walls of the 92 Y. No, the Hard Rock Cafe is better. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. What is the most memorable cocktail you've ever had, in a good or a bad way? From Becca, P.S. Hi.
Wow. I mean, I would say the Hot Pants, but we'll move past that. Yeah. Hot Pants definitely wins that title. But, honestly, the first time I had my first Duke's Martini, I think that would be it. Because I'd never, honestly, no, I'm going to change that. It's the first Martini I ever had. It's when we went to London, when I was in my 20s, Lori and I were just first dating, and I went to the Savoy. It wasn't even the American bar. There was another bar in the lobby that isn't there anymore. And they, in this thistle-shaped glass, this frozen martini. And it was the greatest thing I'd ever had. It was the first time I actually went, I actually like gin, because I think a lot of us, Americans aren't as into gin as the Brits, because when you're younger, I think you go down to some friend's parents' basement bar, and the first thing you do with the gin is it smells like Pine Sol or whatever.
It's off, right, exactly, yep.
But then when you have it properly mixed in a drink, then it's really good.
Yes, I remember in college, we were pre-gaming shots, of course, which of course we know that you don't like, and also who likes it. And we were
back then.
We were doing shots of gin, which was so
God.
hot. Oh, it's awful. I almost didn't want to bring it up.
That's either super classy or super crazy.
It was super crazy. This was not good gin. It turned me off gin for years until you. I have to say, so Paul, in the mid-pandemic, 2020, I was stranded in Canada, and we were talking. Oh, you were about to do the Bridesmaids episode.
Oh, right,
right. For Instagram.
Yeah, we did.
Right?
Yeah, to raise money, we did. I did we showed the movie, and I kind of made drinks during it and stuff.
Yes, it was, and you just an angel descending from the heavens. You were like, "Can I send you gin?" And you did, and it got me through those dark Canadian nights. So thank you. Okay, no name. What is a random act of kindness someone has shown you that you will never forget?
Oh gosh, oh my goodness, I've been lucky. I've had so many very kind people.
Yes.
Oh man,
that requires some.
I know that needs a little bit of extra thought. Wait, go to the next question and let me see if something pops into my head.
Okay, if you were a character in a novel, this is also a tough one. If you were a character in a novel, what would your readers be yelling at you to do?
I love New York, first of all. That's all I gotta say.
This is so hot, one after another, yeah.
They're probably yelling at me to put a better picture of my wife in my book.
It's beautiful. It captures the essence of that moment. So maybe they would.
There you
Okay,
go.
that's what they would be doing. But now we have to return to random act of kindness.
Oh, no, you're going to put me back on that?
I'm going to put you back on that.
what-
Or maybe you don't. I mean, everyone.
Well, I just...
Something kind. Someone.
This is just like an example. This is just a random thing that just happened the other day, but it's a New York moment, which I love New York so much. I was walking down the street, and this probably just says how I'm gaining weight. I had this double-breasted kind of overcoat that I love, and I'm walking, all of a sudden I feel like punk, and I popped the button off of it. And it's a really nice coat, and it's old, so I was just like, where's the button? And I'm like literally on the street like a crazy person looking around. And you know that New York thing where they go like, okay, they might be nuts, so you kind of like astrally project out of the moment. And so I'm just like, oh, what's the button? And this guy's just like, he's on the phone and calling, he's like, oh, and he brought me over, it's right there. And I just thought that was so lovely that I got the button back.
But that's the perfect example. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't have to point it out.
But that makes me go like, I gotta be more aware and people around me, if somebody's in distress, like, can I help out?
I know what you mean, because, and I keep referring back to these times, like I don't know what we're living through, but it can be difficult. So you really have to like appreciate those moments where the light shines through, and that even if it's, I mean, that guy didn't have to point out.
Yeah, he's like the Good Samaritan out of the Bible.
Exactly right. And how did you sew up? How did that work? I wouldn't know.
I went immediately over to the store that the brand that it's from, and they sewed it back on for me.
Okay,
so,
excellent.
There you go.
And might I just say, and I know no one will disagree, you are not gaining weight. I said, when I saw you and Lori, I haven't seen you in a few years, and I was like, did the pandemic throw you back in time? You both look absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
Again, even in the photo, Lori, which is just, you're just laughing, having a good time. Two of the best looking people I know.
Oh my God.
Paul, it's true. Paul, we have reached the end of our audience questions. I have a clock here which suggests to me we've reached, I don't know.
I think we've overstayed our welcome.
Oh, no, we started late.
Okay, good.
I want to thank you for talking with us about your lovely, brilliant book, which is So Paul. Thank you, Paul. We love you. He's a universally beloved man, and now you know why.
Thank you. And thank you, Ellie.
This was my
Ellie Kemper, everybody. The great Ellie Kemper.
Look at me clapping for myself.
You should be.